What's goody, Shellitronnn here. You can call me Shells, and I'm back at again with a brand new video. And I'm gonna keep it a Bowberry biscuit. We're seeing even more great things out of the Panthers training camp. Days 5 and 6, we're seeing more players step up, more players shine through in these drills and these streams. Now, day 5, just this past Sunday, did not have a stream because it was a full team practice in Bank of America Stadium. So we weren't going to show everything. Day 6 did have a stream and it featured Charles Johnson, but it was kind of shorter and less exciting than some of the other streams we saw. But I'll get to that here in a second. Back to my first point about seeing more guys show up, more guys shine through. That's really good to see because one of the main reasons we're seeing more guys shine through is because some of the guys who were looking good in camp are now injured. We know about Omar Bayless getting surgery on his knee. He could be out for weeks. He could be out for months. We do not know for sure yet. Also, Seth Roberts, another wide receiver, has been in concussion protocol. He's a guy who we brought in who we thought, wouldn't be one of these big breakout, big name receivers, but someone who could have an impact, someone who could have some very good contributions to this team. So while you do kind of hate to see it, it is more opportunities for Brandon Zylstra, who has been looking good, to make even more moves. But getting more specific into what's going on in day 5 in the practice that was in the stadium, we saw some pretty good things. Mike Davis, the $3 million man, did catch a touchdown pass that was eventually called back for holding. And that was a common theme in both days of these training camp sessions. The offense making some pretty good plays, but it getting called back for holding. And we're going to have to trust this O-line because there's not a ton of talent on this O-line. It's not one of the best O-lines in the league, but we have to be disciplined because, look, you can't be holding and also giving up sacks because we're going to be tested. This offense has to be the unit that carries this team. We have a lot of good pieces for the future on defense, but I think we all acknowledge that the offense is what's really going to be the driving force of this team. If we get some solid number of wins, it'll most likely come from the offensive side of the ball. And every single play in the offense starts at the O-line. So we need to have some discipline there. And I'm sure we'll get it worked out, but it has to happen very quickly because the season opener is coming up very soon. We also saw that Justin Burris, a safety who came out of NC State, I'm pretty sure. He was drafted in the 4th round a few years ago. He's been impressing the coaches in practice. Also, Miles Hartsfield, the DB, who can also play running back. He's been impressive on both sides of the ball. Apparently, he caught an interception with the defense and then ran in 2 touchdowns with the offense. One got called back for holding, but still, we're looking at this man being a monster who can play on either side of the ball. Now, Rev Rule did say for right now, we're going to see him play on both sides. But very, very soon, he's going to want to focus him on one side of the ball at one position. And it's going to be very interesting. I think very telling which side we see him focus on more. Because if he goes to the running back side, we're looking at either Mike Davis or Reggie Bonifon being gone. If he goes to the DBs, then we may have a little bit more help on that side. And I think that might be where he needs to stay. Even if he is impressive as a running back, we need more help in the secondary than we do in the backfield. Let's keep it real there. But overall, I think we see the defense playing really well. YGMs look good. And when the starters on offense and defense had their one drive versus each other, the defense won out mainly because of penalties. So we understand what's going on here. It's a very common theme, but the defense did win out. But there is also a dark side to what's going on. It was reported that Brian Burns has some nicks and bruises, and that could be anything from nothing at all really to maybe some lingering effects of what was going on last year. We do not know. And Eli Apple also struggled. He got beat twice on routes by Ishmael Hyman. Once on a 3rd and long was an out route, and another time was a deep pass. Ishmael just beat him, and he got a touchdown on the play. So it's looking like it's going to be a very competitive race to see who's going to be playing the CB1 or the cornerback opposite of Dante Jackson. If he's playing CB1, which, Phil, don't do that now. Phil, you bet not do it. It could be Eli Apple. It could be TJ Green. And also the slot corner, the nickel guy. That spot is in contention. And that spot's been in contention for 3-4 years now. Let's keep it real. And when it wasn't in contention, it was Captain Munnerlin. And that means the spot should have been in contention. Let's be even more real. But let's move past that. Chris Manners caught a touchdown in practice. And Brandon Zylstra caught a touchdown from Will Greer. So in day 5, didn't get a stream, but there were some very interesting things that happened, both good and I think bad. Seeing these guys step up, is what we're going to need because we're a very young team, very young coaching staff, and we don't have that many expectations, and there is no preseason, and this is where these kind of guys really strive and can get like a little bit of a feel for NFL speed and what their role is going to be situationally. We don't have that. Guys have to step up in training camp. Day 6, like I mentioned earlier, we had Charles Johnson, and I'm not going to lie, this was a little bit of a shorter stream. I think about 20 minutes shorter than what we've been getting usually. We had Charles Johnson, and the focus was on the defense, but we saw some very basic, not very interesting drills in day 6. We saw drills where the defense was working on hand placement, a smaller target, getting your hands in the right spot. Also saw them working on things like coming off the ball fast and tackling immediately off to the side. Those are really good drills to make sure our defensive line specifically is playing fast and hard every single time. There were some hard counts. Guys were not flinching. The defense looks pretty disciplined. But what I saw in the drills, we don't get to see everything. But from what I saw, there weren't guys really jumping or whatever. So on the front 7, we're looking pretty straight. But for the most part, we learned a lot more about Charles Johnson than we did our team. When he was talking, it became very, very clear that he has a really strong relationship with some of these guys on defense, talks to them kind of often, and he even mentioned that, look, when you get paid the big bucks, there are some guys who aren't very vocal, who have to become vocal, and when there are just no leaders, no real veterans on the squad right now, some of these guys who are a little bit younger have to become a voice in the locker room, have to become examples, and you have to step up because, look, Luke's gone. We get a lot of guys who were only 1-year dudes from last year leave, but Gerald McCoy and those kind of guys were veterans in the league. You could learn a lot from those dudes. They're no longer there. So we're seeing a team with younger leaders on the squad, and we have to work around that. You have to do things. You have to step out of your comfort zone sometimes to become a leader. And sometimes I think that's even just as important as your play on the field is what's going on in the locker room, who are your leaders, who's talking, whose voices are being heard. And that was a very interesting point from Charles Johnson to bring up. He also mentioned that he doesn't believe the preseason really matters, which I disagree with him on that. Charles Johnson, you were a good player, so it probably didn't mean much to you. But I promise you, in this season, with the state of our team, the preseason would have been great experience for a lot of the guys. And we could have seen who was just a training camp monster and which of these guys actually steps up in real game situations where dudes are trying to hit them, where dudes are trying to earn jobs opposite them, either on their team or on the opposite team. I can understand why he thinks that because this man was good enough to, it didn't really matter. He was going to go out and perform no matter what. Of the things we did see, Tamarick Hemingway had a one-handed catch. We're seeing a lot of really good things out of all of our tight ends. Tamarick Hemingway, Chris Manhertz, Ian Thomas. They've all been impressive and they've all been catching passes. We did not think or did not really perceive Chris Manhertz to be a pass-catching tight end. He really isn't, but we've seen that he can do it when he really needs to. Tamarick Hemingway, I don't really know a ton about him. All I know is the man's big and he can make plays. Ian Thomas, I've been saying it for more than a year now. I said it when he got drafted. I said it after he had that 3-4 game stretch at the end of 2018 that he will step up when needed. He's very aware. He is smart. He's not the fastest dude on the field, but he knows how to find the soft spot in the zone. He has that instinct you really want to see out of a tight end. These guys who won't burn you, but will outsmart you on the field. And that's almost just as good. Sometimes with the tight end, that's even better than speed because being a security blanket for a younger quarterback or a quarterback who hasn't really been in the system for very long or is in a new system, that tight end position is very, very important. And I think Ian Thomas can fill that role immediately. And sticking with the offense, the quarterbacks and wide receivers worked on red zone drills and red zone routes. And that's going to be very important because I think we'll have a much better year, a much easier time getting to the red zone. The big problem is, what do you do when you're inside the 20? What do you do when you're inside the 10? We have to have a much more creative offense than find Christian McCaffrey and pray he does something good, which he usually does, but you want to go ahead and get other guys involved. You don't bring guys in. You don't just hoard talent just to waste it. You need to use other guys on the field, and I think we'll see a lot more of that this year. I think we'll see a much more creative, a much more open offense where more guys get shared opportunities with the ball, which is going to be important when you think about making your fantasy league teams. We have a lot of guys here, which can really hurt you in fantasy or even DFS. That's all I got for you for right now, man. Let me know all your thoughts in the comments below. And you already know to do with that like button.
Cheers to you, appreciate the chance. Been told y'all I been the man. Been told y'all I had the gift. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Real ones gonna recommend. Count this as another win.